like a win-win in general, which is nice. So, yeah, thank you. I don't even know your name, but thank you for the scrunchie. It's working great. So,
what kind of scrunchie you use?
yeah, so let's get to the point. This show is proudly brought to you by the fine folks at D'Addario Strings. No, seriously, I actually do use D'Addario. The way that I came about this is legitimate. It's not a sales pitch. I have really acidic, gross hands that Rick has. Every time I play one of his guitars, he's like, "Dude, don't play it very long because you're gonna rot the strings." I feel like you can see it in the light, just how like grossly sweaty they are. And I was using Elixir strings for a really long time, but they add tension. And this is no lie, you can measure it with a fish scale. I did that. John Sir himself actually, we were just measuring guitars. Like, man, my guitar's got 10s on it, but it feels like heavier than other gauge strings. But I was using Elixir to cope for the longevity. I was losing longevity. So what I did is I went to Guitar Center. I had a clinic coming up. I was teaching with Andy Timmons, and I had a clinic coming up. So I just bought like every different coated string on the market. So like I was getting the clear tones and God knows what all, the Ernie Ball coated ones and the D'Addario EXPs. And I just put them on. Some of them I was like, oh, okay, this might work. And then other ones, it would be in bad taste to name names. I would seriously get the strings on and hit one chord and I'd be like, ugh, that sounds terrible. And I would just take them right back off. But I'm not going to tell you who, but yeah, they suck. So it came down to the D'Addario EXPs kind of obviously winning out. Like it kept coming back to the top when I was doing my test. So when I got to the clinic with Andy, he had, you get two guitar players together and, we get super nerdy and like, yeah, man, what kind of strings do you use? What kind of pick do you like, So I was like, well, I told him about the experiment that I've done. He's like, yeah, man, well, I played for D'Addario, and they rock. And that's how I got tied into them, was through Andy and him telling them that story. It was completely unbiased. I intended on, just continuing my search, but D'Addario ended up not only making strings that I like, but being a great company to work with as far as like, oh, you should try this. We've got these balanced tension, which are up here, and they're giving this stuff away, get a set if you're a guitar player. The balanced tension thing is weird to me because every string is the same tension, and some people really love it. Like artists, the guys from Killswitch change their stuff to the balanced tension. It feels exactly the same on the guitar. My thing is I just play guitar so long, my hands are used to it not being perfectly, the tension not being perfect. So I like just 10 to 46 for tuning a half step down, which is what we're in right now. And in standard, I'm using 9.5 to 44, I think is what the gauge is. But it's really good. I'm one of the odd people that likes the sound of thinner strings. Like I don't like the sound of like 12s and 13s. I think they start sounding thuddy. And but the problem is when you do any alternate picking of any anything that's really digging in, like my hand gets like caught up in a really loose string because the string's moving slower than my pick wants it to, because I want it to be just like this, like with tension. So I've come back for a standard. I'm using 9.5, and it's kind of giving me the wiry tone that I like with enough tension to not feel like I'm driving on glass. You know what I'm saying? So. D'Addario makes every gauge on the planet. I hadn't even went through. Oh man, they've got like their catalog is terrifying. Rick can help you. He's honestly, I'm not saying this because he's sitting there and running the sound because he can mute my channel. I really mean what I'm about to say. Rick has set up my guitars and taught me about setups and for years. I've known Rick since I was 16, and like everything that questions I've learned just from like, hey man, my guitar is doing this. How do I fix it? So if anybody in the room ever is curious about those kinds of things or is running into an issue live that you're like, oh man, I just don't like the way this feels, talk to Rick. He will help you. His setups are really top notch. And that's the only thing I'm going to say, because in the room I don't like to kiss people's butts or anything. So, yeah, and obviously being a D'Addario dealer, he's got the catalog, so you can thumb through the catalog and be terrified at how many options that they have. It's a bit daunting. I like to just go up to a guy like Rick and be like, man, this is what I want. What do I need? You know, rather than like look at a catalog and be like, holy cow, I've got to go through 40 sets of strings before I find one I like. That sucks. Let's just go practice. You know. So yeah. Strings. Yeah, and the area is also the All Planet Wave stuff, which rocks. So you know, cables and tuners and guitar polishes. Well, I don't even know what all they offer. Yeah, the winders, the string, they have everything, man. So these little things are cool. These winders that they've got up here, they have the winder on one end and their snips on the other, and they have at the very end this thing. If you play acoustic guitar, you know, getting the bridge pins out is always a pain in the butt. You know what I'm talking about? It's, yeah, that's stupid, right? So these guys, they're smart, and they put this thing that actually grabs the bridge pin and pops it out for you. So yeah. And you can fly with it. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I was wondering why I never get in trouble anymore. It's because I'm using that instead of snips. So everybody spend $15 on those things. They're awesome. What else? Anything else? More music? More rock and roll? I use the Blue Chip picks. Now these are very cork sniffer type of picks and not cheap, but they're made about 45 minutes from here. I was using Red Bear, I was using Tortoiseshell as a kid because I was a bluegrass guy, and I lost my last Tortoiseshell when I was like 17 or 18, and I paid $75 for it. You know, they were just getting ridiculous. So I just started looking for different picks. I used Jazz 3s. I was just trying to find what really worked. And the Red Bears sounded great, and because this isn't nobody's videotape, you got to not videotape this next line. You can't. You have to hit pause for a second. Just pause this.